In the year 2147, humanity had spread far beyond Earth. Ships traveled between stars, and colonies dotted distant planets. But even with all their progress, people still held on to old fears and distrust. One of these ships was the Odyssey *, a sturdy vessel led by Commander Ethan Blake. Ethan was a calm man in his late 30s, with sharp eyes that missed little. He was known for making tough decisions when needed. The Odyssey * was on a routine mission near the edge of human space. The crew worked quietly, checking systems and running scans. It was a normal day, or so it seemed. Then something unusual happened. A faint signal came through the ship's communication system. At first, no one paid much attention. Static and noise were common in deep space. But Lieutenant Samantha Sam Carter, the ship's tactical officer, noticed something odd about it. The signal wasn't random. It repeated the same words over and over. "Help us. They're coming." Ethan stood on the bridge, staring at the console where Sam had isolated the signal. His brow furrowed as he listened to the broken voice. "Where is this coming from?" he asked, his voice calm but curious. "It's hard to say," Sam replied, her fingers moving quickly across the controls. "It's bouncing around, like it's being distorted by something out there." Dr. Laura Munro, the ship's xenobiologist, leaned forward. Her face showed both excitement and worry. "If someone's sending this, we can't just ignore it. What if they need help?" Ethan nodded. "You're right. Let's find out who, or what, this is." He gave the order to change course, steering the Odyssey * toward the source of the signal. As they got closer, strange things began to happen. The ship's sensors picked up odd readings. Time seemed to stretch and shift unpredictably. Stars flickered in the distance, vanishing and reappearing in different places. Even the ship's computer started acting strangely, warning of dangers that didn't exist. Despite these unsettling signs, Ethan refused to turn back. "We've come this far," he told his crew during a tense meeting. "Whatever's out there, we need to know." Finally, after hours of careful navigation, they reached the location of the signal. What they saw left them stunned. Before them was a barren planet orbiting a dying red star. Its surface was scared and lifeless, covered in ruins that hinted at a once great civilization. Broken towers jutted out of the ground, and massive craters marked the landscape. "Look at this place," Laura whispered, her voice filled with awe and sadness. "It's like a tomb." Sam scanned the area with the ship's instruments. "There's nothing alive down there. No heat signatures, no movement, just rocks and dust." But Ethan felt uneasy. Something about the planet felt wrong. It was too quiet, too empty. "We're not leaving until we get answers," he said firmly. "Prepare a dropship. We're going down." The crew exchanged nervous glances, but followed his orders. They knew better than to argue when Ethan made up his mind. Little did they know, stepping foot on that planet would lead them into a mystery far greater and more dangerous than anything they could have imagined. The dropship descended through the thin, dusty atmosphere of the barren planet. Ethan Blake sat in the pilot's seat, his hand steady on the controls. Behind him, Lieutenant Samantha Sam Carter and Dr. Laura Monroe prepared their gear, checking equipment and making sure everything was ready for whatever they might find. The ground below looked like a wasteland. Gray, cracked earth stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with jagged ruins that rose like broken bones from the surface. When the dropship landed, the crew stepped out cautiously. The air was cold and dry, and the silence was overwhelming. There were no winds, no sounds of life, just an eerie stillness that made everyone uneasy. Ethan took the lead, scanning the area with a handheld device. "Stay close," he said quietly. "We don't know what's out here." They moved toward the nearest structure, a crumbling tower half buried in the dirt. Its walls were covered in strange symbols, etched into the stone-like material. Laura knelt to examine them, brushing away layers of dust. "These markings, they're not human," she murmured. "This civilization was advanced, but it's nothing like anything we've seen before. As they explored further, they found more ruins, shattered buildings, twisted metal, and fragments of machinery scattered across the ground. But there was something else too. Bones, dozens of them, scattered among the debris. They weren't human bones, though. The skeletons were tall and thin, with elongated skulls and long, delicate limbs. Whoever they were, Sam said, her voice low, they didn't go down without a fight. She pointed to scorch marks on the walls and melted metal nearby. Looks like there was some kind of battle here. Ethan nodded grimly. But who were they fighting? And where did they go? The deeper they went, the more unsettling the scene became. The ruins seemed to tell a story of destruction. Entire sections of the city had collapsed, buried under layers of ash and rubble. It was clear that whatever had happened here had been catastrophic. But amidst the devastation, they began to notice something strange. Faint traces of energy pulsed through the ground, almost like echoes of power lingering long after its source was gone. Laura stopped suddenly, pointing to a large mound of debris. "There's something underneath this," she said. "It's giving off a faint signal." The team worked together to clear the rubble, revealing a heavy metal door embedded in the ground. It was round and covered in the same symbols they'd seen earlier. Ethan tried to pry it open, but it wouldn't budge. "We'll need tools for this," Sam said, already unpacking a cutting laser from her pack. After several minutes of careful work, they managed to slice through the door's edges. With a loud groan, it swung open, revealing a dark staircase leading downward. The air grew colder as they descended, their flashlights cutting through the thick darkness. The walls were smooth and metallic, glowing faintly with a bluish light. It was clear they had entered some kind of underground facility. As they moved deeper, they found rows of dormant machines and control panels, all covered in dust. In the center of the room stood a large console, its surface etched with intricate patterns. "This place, it's incredible," Laura whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's like a time capsule of an entire civilization." Ethan approached the console cautiously. He reached out to touch it, and suddenly, the room came alive. Lights flickered on, bathing the space in a soft glow. A low hum filled the air as the machines around them began to power up. Then a holographic image appeared above the console, a recording left behind by the planet's former inhabitants. The figure speaking was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin shimmered like liquid metal, and its voice was calm yet desperate. "To whoever finds this message," it began, "we are the last survivors of Epsilon 9. The Vorath have come. They consume everything in their path. We send this signal as a plea for help. If you can hear us, you must stop them." The recording ended abruptly, leaving the crew in stunned silence. Ethan turned to his team, his expression serious. "The Vorath," he said. "Whatever they are, they're dangerous. And if they're still out there, we need to be ready." Before anyone could respond, a loud clang echoed through the facility. Something, or someone, was moving in the shadows. The loud clang echoed through the underground facility, making everyone freeze. Ethan's hand instinctively went to the blaster strapped to his side. He signaled for Sam and Laura to stay close as he moved cautiously toward the source of the sound. The dim blue light from the walls cast long shadows, making it hard to see clearly. "Did you hear that?" Sam whispered, her voice tense. She held her own weapon ready, her eyes scanning the darkness. "I heard it," Ethan replied quietly. "Stay alert." They followed the sound down a narrow corridor, their footsteps soft against the metallic floor. As they turned a corner, they saw movement, a shadow darting quickly out of sight. Ethan raised his blaster, but before he could act, more figures emerged from the shadows. At first glance, they looked human, but something about them was off. Their skin was pale, almost translucent, and their eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. One of the figures stepped forward. His voice was weak but clear. You're not one of them." It wasn't a question, but a statement filled with both relief and disbelief. Ethan lowered his weapon slightly, though he remained cautious. "Who are you? And who are they?" The man introduced himself as Kale. He explained that he and the others were survivors of the Vorath attack, the same invaders mentioned in the holographic recording. According to Kale, the Vorath were parasitic beings that consumed entire civilizations, using their victims' minds to strengthen their hive-like collective. When the attack began, Kale and a small group of his people had sealed themselves away in cryogenic pods, hoping someone would find them and finish what they couldn't, destroying the Vorath. Laura listened intently, her face pale with shock. "How did you survive this long?" she asked. "The pods slowed our aging," Kale replied. "But waking up was risky. We didn't know if help would ever come, or if the Vorath would return first." Sam frowned, her grip tightening on her weapon. "Why should we trust you? For all we know, you could be working with them." Kale didn't argue. Instead, he gestured for them to follow him deeper into the facility. "Come with me. I'll show you why we need your help." They led the crew to another chamber, this one filled with strange machinery and glowing orbs suspended in glass cases. Kale explained that these were weapons, advanced technology created by his people to fight the Vorath. But they hadn't been enough. "We underestimated them," Kale admitted bitterly. "They adapted faster than we could counter. By the time we realized it, it was too late." Ethan examined the weapons closely. They were unlike anything he'd ever seen, sleek and humming with energy. "If these are real," he said slowly, "they could give us a chance." "But at what cost?" Sam interjected sharply. "Using alien tech like this, we don't even know what it does or how it works. What if it backfires?" Laura shook her head. "We don't have a choice, Sam. If the Vorath are still out there, and if they're heading this way, we need every advantage we can get." Kale nodded grimly. "The Vorath will return. They always do. When they sense activity here, they'll come to investigate. You must decide now. Will you stand with us, or leave us to die again?" Ethan hesitated, weighing the risks. He knew Sam had a point. They were dealing with unknown technology and potentially dangerous allies. But he also knew they couldn't ignore the threat of the Vorath. If Kale was telling the truth, humanity itself could be in danger. "We'll help you," Ethan said finally, his voice firm. "But we do this my way. No secrets, no surprises." Kale smiled faintly, though there was no joy in it. "Then we'd better prepare. Time is running out." As they began planning their next steps, none of them noticed the faint hum growing louder in the distance, a sign that the Vorath might already be closer than they thought. The crew of the Odyssey worked alongside Kale and his people to prepare for the inevitable. The underground facility buzzed with activity as they dug through the ruins of an ancient war, piecing together weapons and defenses that hadn't been used in centuries. Ethan took charge, dividing tasks among his team and Kale's survivors. Laura focused on studying the alien technology, trying to understand how it worked. Sam, meanwhile, inspected the structural integrity of the facility, making sure it could withstand an attack. Kale proved to be a valuable ally, guiding them through the labyrinthine halls of the facility and explaining its secrets. He showed them how to activate massive energy shields and deploy automated drones designed to patrol the perimeter. But despite his help, Sam remained suspicious. She kept her distance from Kale and his people, watching their every move. "They're hiding something," Sam muttered to Ethan one evening as they reviewed schematics in a dimly lit control room. "I don't trust them." Ethan sighed, rubbing his temples. He appreciated Sam's caution, but he also knew they didn't have the luxury of doubt. "We can't afford to second-guess every move they make," he said. "Right now, we need all the help we can get." Sam crossed her arms, frowning. "That doesn't mean we should blindly follow them. What if this is a trap? What if they're using us to lure the Vorath here?" Ethan looked at her, his expression serious. "If it is a trap, then we'll deal with it when it happens. Until then, We focus on staying alive. As the days passed, tensions grew not just between Sam and Kel's group, but within the crew itself. Laura spent hours poring over data, trying to decipher the symbols etched into the walls and machinery. She often stayed up late, driven by a mix of curiosity and fear. One night, while examining a glowing orb-like device, she accidentally triggered a holographic map of the galaxy. It showed countless red dots scattered across star systems, each one marked as a location where the Vorith had attacked. This is worse than I thought," Laura whispered, her voice trembling. She called Ethan over immediately. When he saw the map, his face darkened. "How many planets?" he asked quietly. "Hundreds," Laura replied. "Maybe more. They've been doing this for centuries, wiping out civilizations without anyone noticing." Ethan clenched his fists, anger boiling beneath his calm exterior. "We can't let them keep going. If they're coming here, we stop them, no matter what it takes." Meanwhile, outside the facility, strange signs began to appear. The ground trembled occasionally, and faint screeching sounds echoed through the air. Kale warned them that these were early indicators of the Vorith's approach. "They know we're here," he said grimly. "It won't be long now." The final preparations were frantic. Weapons were distributed, and everyone was assigned a role in the defense plan. Ethan insisted on leading the front line, knowing his presence would boost morale. Sam reluctantly agreed to work with Kale to coordinate the shield systems, though she still kept a wary eye on him. Laura stayed in the central control room, monitoring sensors and relaying information to the others. On the eve of the expected attack, Ethan gathered his team for a final briefing. The mood was heavy, the weight of what lay ahead pressing down on everyone. "Tomorrow we fight," Ethan said, his voice steady. "Not just for ourselves, but for everyone who couldn't fight back. We hold this line. No matter what happens, we don't give up." His words brought a sense of determination, even among those who felt fear gnawing at their resolve. As the meeting ended, Sam pulled Ethan aside. "Promise me something," she said, her tone unusually soft. "If things go south, you get out of here. You make sure someone survives to warn Earth." Ethan hesitated, then nodded. "I'll do my best, but I'm not leaving until the job's done." That night, no one slept. The hum of distant energy grew louder, vibrating through the walls of the facility. Somewhere out there, the Vorith were closing in, drawn by the faintest spark of life in a dead world. And deep underground, a small band of humans and aliens prepared to face a threat that had haunted the stars for centuries. The attack came without warning. One moment, the facility was quiet, the only sound the faint hum of machinery and the distant rumble of the planet's unstable surface. The next, alarms blared as sensors detected movement above ground. Laura, stationed in the control room, shouted over the comm system, "They're here. Multiple contacts approaching fast." Ethan grabbed his weapon and sprinted toward the main entrance, where Sam and a group of Cal's people were already waiting. Through the reinforced glass windows, they could see the first wave of Vorith descending from the sky. They looked like nightmares brought to life. Towering insectoid creatures with jagged limbs and glowing red eyes. Their bodies shimmered with an oily sheen, and strange tendrils writhed around their mouths, pulsating with energy. "Stay sharp," Ethan yelled as the first of the drones activated, rolling out to meet the invaders. The machines opened fire, sending bursts of blue energy into the swarm. The Vorith responded with terrifying speed, unleashing beams of searing light that tore through metal and stone alike. Explosions rocked the facility as the battle began in earnest. Inside, Laura monitored the chaos from the control room, her fingers flying across the console. She directed shield reinforcements to areas under heavy assault while trying to keep track of the team's positions. "Shields at 70% in Sector 3. She called out. "They're targeting the eastern corridor." Sam worked tirelessly alongside Kale to maintain the defenses. Together, they rerouted power to critical systems, ensuring the shields held steady. But it wasn't enough. The Vorath were relentless, smashing through barriers and overwhelming automated defenses. "We can't hold them off forever," Sam said through gritted teeth. "We need another plan." Ethan knew she was right. Fighting defensively would only delay the inevitable. He turned to Kale. "You said there's a way to overload the core, right? To create a big enough explosion to wipe them out." Kale nodded grimly. "Yes, but it's risky. Someone has to stay behind to trigger the sequence manually. Once it's started, there's no stopping it." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Then I'll do it." "No," Sam snapped, storming up to him. "You're not sacrificing yourself for this. Let me go. I'm better suited for it. I know how to handle the tech." "And what about the shields?" Ethan shot back. "If you leave, we lose our best chance of holding them off until the detonation." His tone softened. "This is my call, Sam. Trust me." Before she could argue further, Kale stepped forward. "There may be another way. My people, some of us are willing to stay behind. We owe this fight everything." Ethan hesitated, torn between gratitude and guilt. Finally, he nodded. "Thank you. But if anyone's staying, it's going to be me too. I won't ask others to do what I'm not willing to do myself." As the battle raged on, Ethan, Sam, and Kale devised a desperate plan. Using the remaining drones and weapons, they lured the Vorath into the heart of the facility, drawing them closer to the energy core. It was a dangerous gamble. If the creatures realized what was happening, they could retreat or counterattack before the explosion occurred. Laura's voice crackled over the comm. "Vorath forces are converging on your position. Shields are down to 30%. You need to move now." Ethan signaled for everyone to fall back. As the last of his team evacuated to a safe distance, he locked eyes with Sam one final time. "Get them out of here," he said firmly. "That's an order." Sam clenched her jaw, tears welling in her eyes, but she obeyed. With a heavy heart, she led the survivors toward the escape route, leaving Ethan and Cal's volunteers behind. Alone in the control room, Ethan took a deep breath and initiated the overload sequence. The countdown began, ticking down from 60 seconds. Outside, the Vorath swarmed closer, unaware of the doom awaiting them. Ethan watched the timer, his hand hovering over the final activation switch. "Come on," he muttered under his breath. "Just a little longer." The lights flickered as the core destabilized, and the entire facility shook violently. Then, with 10 seconds left, Ethan made his decision. He pressed the button, sealing his fate. The screen flashed. Asterisk detonation. Imminent asterisk. Ethan closed his eyes, thinking of Earth and all the lives he hoped to save. Then, with a deafening roar, the facility erupted in a blinding flash of light, engulfing the Vorath and everything else in its path. The explosion lit up the dark sky of Epsilon 9, a massive fireball erupting from the planet's surface. The shockwave rippled outward, shaking the ground and scattering debris for miles. From their position in orbit, the crew aboard the Odyssey watched in stunned silence as the facility, and everything around it, was consumed by the blast. Sam stood on the bridge, gripping the railing so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her eyes were fixed on the screen showing the devastation below. She had argued with Ethan until the very end, begging him to reconsider, but he had refused to back down. Now, all she could do was stare at the inferno that had taken him, and Cal's brave volunteers, along with it. "They're gone," Laura whispered, her voice trembling. She sat slumped in her chair, tears streaming down her face. "They're really gone." Sam didn't respond. She couldn't. The weight of what had just happened pressed down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. Ethan had sacrificed himself to save them all, buying humanity a chance to fight another day. But at what cost? The ship's AI broke the heavy silence. "Radiation levels are spiking in the area. Recommend immediate departure to avoid contamination." Captain Blake would have given the order to leave without hesitation. Sam forced herself to step into his role, swallowing her grief. "Set course for Earth," she said, her voice hoarse but steady. "Maximum speed." As the Odyssey pulled away from the dying planet, the crew struggled to process what they had witnessed. For days, no one spoke much. Meals were eaten in silence, and even routine tasks felt heavier than usual. They had survived, but victory came at a price none of them had been prepared to pay. When they finally reached Earth, news of their mission spread quickly. Governments and factions that had once bickered over resources and territory now united under a single banner: survival. Ethan's sacrifice became a rallying cry, proof that humanity could overcome even the greatest threats when it worked together. Back on the ground, Sam found herself standing in front of a memorial wall dedicated to those who had fallen in service to humanity. Ethan's name was engraved there, alongside others who had given everything to protect the future. She traced the letters with her fingers, her heart aching. "You did good," a voice said behind her. It was Laura, holding a small bouquet of flowers. She placed them gently at the base of the wall. "He saved us all." Sam nodded slowly. Yeah, he did. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. The Vorath might have been defeated on Epsilon 9, but they were still out there somewhere, lurking in the vastness of space. Later that evening, Sam met with military leaders and scientists to share everything they had learned about the Vorath. The alien weapons and technology recovered from the facility were studied intensely, sparking new advancements in human defenses. Plans were made to build stronger ships, better shields, and more effective weapons, all in preparation for the day the Vorath returned. As Sam left the meeting, she paused to look up at the night sky. Stars twinkled innocently above, hiding the dangers that lurked beyond. Somewhere out there, the hive mind of the Vorath still existed, waiting for its next opportunity to strike. And when it did, humanity would need to be ready. Ethan's bravery had awakened something within humanity, a determination to stand together against the unknown. But as Sam walked away, she knew the real fight was only beginning. Months passed after the crew of the Odyssey returned to Earth. The planet had changed in ways both subtle and profound. Nations that once argued over borders and resources now worked side by side, united by the looming threat of the Vorath. Factories churned out new ships and weapons based on the alien technology recovered from Epsilon 9. Scientists and engineers pored over every detail, racing to prepare humanity for the next encounter. Sam Carter found herself at the center of it all. Though she never asked for the role, her experience made her a key figure in humanity's defense efforts. She spent her days training pilots, testing new equipment, and advising military leaders. At night, she often sat alone in her quarters, staring at a picture of Ethan Blake. His calm smile reminded her of why they were fighting, and what they stood to lose if they failed. Laura Monroe also played a crucial part. Her knowledge of xenobiology helped humanity understand the Vorath better. By studying fragments of their biology left behind during the battle, she uncovered disturbing truths. The Vorath weren't just parasites. They were evolving. Each attack, each conquest, added to their hive mind, making them smarter and more dangerous. They're learning, Laura warned during one briefing. If we don't stop them soon, they'll become unstoppable. The warning sent ripples through the newly formed Human Defense Coalition. Plans for colonization were put on hold as resources were redirected toward building an interstellar fleet. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon was dedicated to one goal: survival. But not everyone agreed with the direction things were heading. Some argued that humanity was becoming too reliant on alien tech, losing its own identity in the process. Others feared that preparing for war might bring it closer. Sam heard these concerns often but dismissed them. "We don't have a choice," she told anyone who questioned her. "If we don't fight, we die." Despite the progress, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Strange signals began appearing on the edges of human space, faint echoes of the SOS that had led them to Epsilon 9. Scouts reported sightings of unknown ships lurking near colonies, watching silently before disappearing into the void. It was clear. The Vorath were still out there, biding their time. One evening, Sam received a message from Admiral Hayes, the leader of the Defense Coalition. "We've detected something big moving toward us," he said gravely. "It's not just a scouting party this time. This is the main force." Sam felt a chill run down her spine. The moment she had dreaded and prepared for was finally here. She immediately called a meeting with her team. Together, they reviewed strategies, checked supplies, and finalized plans for deployment. Every available ship was mobilized, every soldier ready to face the enemy. As the fleet gathered near the edge of human space, Sam stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, now refitted with advanced weaponry and armor. Looking around at her crew, she saw determination in their eyes. They knew the stakes, and they were ready to fight. "Remember why we're here," Sam said, addressing the entire fleet over the comm system. "We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone who came before us and everyone who will come after. Today, we show the Vorath that humanity doesn't back down." The enemy fleet appeared on the horizon, a massive swarm of ships, dark and menacing. As the two forces clashed, explosions lit up the darkness of space. The battle was fierce, chaotic, and brutal. But this time, humanity wasn't caught off guard. This time, they fought as one. In the end, victory came at great cost. Ships were lost, lives sacrificed. But the Vorath were pushed back, their advance halted. For now. Back on Earth, the survivors celebrated cautiously. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. As Sam gazed at the stars, she thought of Ethan and the others who had given everything. Their sacrifice had awakened humanity's resolve, forging the unity that would carry them forward. The Vorath would return, and when they did, humanity would be waiting.